All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's good to see everyone again. Is there anyone here who hasn't been before? So I know, how much I have to introduce myself. Anyone?
Yeah, I know Branimir hasn't been here before.
Okay.
And the rest of them, they know you.
Okay, good. Well, just for the one person who doesn't, I'm Beth Amarini. I come from the States. I live in New Jersey, and I have been studying with Jason for 18 years now, which is a lot longer than I thought. And today,
My name is Tadeja Bradaš. All of you know me, and I know all of you. And as Beth, I studied with Jason for 12 years now. Been deeply involved in Jason's work in Nondual Kabbalistic healing. I'm also the board member of the Foundation for Non-Duality and co-teacher with Beth, which is the great pleasure and honor.
Oh, today, same. Okay, we can just compliment each other now for a couple of minutes. So just to remind you, this will be the same format as in our other webinars. We'll have time for talking, lecturing, I guess, time for questions and personal reflections, and time for meditation. So we'll get all of that in, and we should last about 2 hours. Okay. And today?
Yeah, I would just like, open the space for a couple of minutes. If any of you wants to say something, present themselves, share where they are, how they are, whatever, or just tell your name, because I know some people are here that I know and Beth know, but haven't been in this setting before. Anybody? Denise?
I'm Denise Schildkraut. I live in Rochester, New York, and I'm familiar with this work. And because Tadeja and Beth are teaching, I wanted to be there. So it will be a review for me. And I thought this meeting was going to start at 7 a.m. my time. So I woke up especially early, but it turns out it's just starting now.
Oh, gosh.
And so I think I was here once before. I wasn't for the first part, but I know Irma also. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Denise, and sorry for early getting up. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm going to echo Denise. My name is Irma Ross, and I'm in Connecticut. And I too am familiar with the work and wanted to join in for a review and be here for today and Beth's teaching. And I was on one call, an audio, a while ago. I mean, you guys were doing the webinar and I was on the phone, but it's been a while. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy to see people's faces. Hoping other people come on the video too.
Yeah, great, Irma. And that reminds us of something that we will probably repeat a couple of times today. This desire and need to refresh the knowledge, the understanding of material, because this work is not about grasping, it's about becoming. And it needs to be listened to again and again and again, from the same teachers, from different teachers, within friends.
Yeah, and I find it deepens and deepens and deepens and deepens, and the material is different today than it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. It just spirals in a different way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also because
I want to add one more thing. Make sure that you save your recording at a safe place, because you may want to listen to it again, maybe not immediately, but even years later. So they're very valuable.
Definitely, Denise, definitely. I'm a tech person, so everything is stored like, 2-3 times safely. Anybody else wants to say a word or two, present themselves? I see a couple of more people came in between time. Some new names. Clement, do you want to present yourself? I don't know you. No? Okay. So Beth, back to you.
Yes. Oh no, Stuart, it's time for meditation.
Yep.
Which you were doing.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Thank you. So we will repeat the meditation that we did last time. It's called Coming Out of Memory. So just, sit, relaxed position, and concentrate on your breathing. And in most of NKH meditation, the position of meditation is not so important as it is important that you're really relaxed and comfortable. And just follow your breathing. There's nothing you need to change in this breathing. Just focus on taking the air in and letting it out. A couple of rounds. And now focus on your body. Just scan how your body is feeling right now. Focus on your physical sensations. What do you notice? Maybe there's some tension. Maybe you focus on your heartbeat. Maybe there's some tingling in certain parts of body. Just observe. And now think of something that is difficult or uncomfortable in your life right now. And please don't go for some big problems, just something small, something maybe that caught your attention this morning or last couple of days. And imagine this difficulty or uncomfortable feelings for a couple of minutes and let them become very alive in you. Let all the details of this issue become alive. Bring your feelings about it. Now, tune back into your body for a moment and notice how it has changed since you began remembering this difficult situation, this issue. Perhaps your pulse has changed, or your breathing has slowed down or speed up. Maybe you experience some tightness that wasn't there before, some tension. Just notice what has changed. Pick one of these changes, whatever it is. And drop all your emotional and remembered associations with it. Simply allow it to be there as pure sensation. Notice what happens. And bring your attention back to this group. And we will have 2-3 persons who may want to share how this meditation was for them. Just open your mics when you're ready if you want to share anything. Maybe for those who were here last time and remember doing this meditation, was it any different today? Nothing? Branka?
Well, I will share. Once you asked about, first of all, hello everybody. I don't know whether you heard me saying hello because I was muted, obviously, and I just wanted to share something about the difference in the sensation today and last time. So it was totally different in quality because the issue I was meditating on, of course, was different. And today's meditation has somehow moved me to a totally different state of mind and experience in that sensation. I was feeling like I was choking today, and slowly, so at its climax, at its peak, it was really difficult for me to breathe, and then slowly it just dissolved. It went away without any effort.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Branka.
Thank you. Thank you for the meditation.
Anybody else? Denise?
So for me, what I was, what I brought up, some difficult thing, it made my heart kind of beat faster, and I had tears in my eyes, and it was like felt kind of in my chest, But when I let go of the story and focused on my bodily sensation, it was almost a melting away. It was almost, everything had just the right space or room, whatever. So yeah, it feels different now. I mean, I'm not having that reaction that I had before. So thank you.
Thank you, Denise, for sharing this. I just would like to give a short comment on this. How interesting, with such a simple thing as this meditation, how we can release the tension around something, by opening the space, by allowing things, our feelings, our thoughts, our sensations simply to exist. It's amazing. It amazes me all over again, every time. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have something that they're dying to share? I don't want to, interrupt anybody, but if not, we'll go on. And it's interesting, this meditation talking about dropping our stories. We're going to talk a little bit about that today too. So our last webinar, we started looking at the Kabbalistic universes and what they are, sort of a conception of different ways of looking at the world, different ways of being in the world. Each of the 4 universes that we study has their own unique qualities and their own unique take on reality, but it's another version of the whole. And when we talk about the universes, we kind of take them apart to examine them and look at them. But it's important to realize that they're all interconnected. They're all enfolded within each other, and they all, work together. But they're a whole, a unit. You can't really take one out from the other. So that's kind of an artificial thing, but it's the best way to learn about them. We also need to remember that God is present in each of these universes, every one of them, and that none of them is somehow better or worse than another. The only problem that we have is if we decide we're just going to dwell in one of these universes, that becomes problematic. We last time looked, excuse me, come inside. Last time we looked at Asya, which is the universe of physicality and action, of doing and making, of black and white, with no room for self-reflection, for ambiguity, or for paradox. Humans spend a lot of their lives in Asya because it is the most physical of the universes, the one most down to earth, if you will. It's a familiar and a beautiful place. This is where we see all of the beauty in the world, the beauty in other people. But when Asya is unintegrated with the other universes, and we decide to set up camp there, we can get caught up in tribalism and fundamentalism and the belief that only physical action will solve the problems that we encounter. And we actually don't need to look very far away today for plenty of examples of this. So I just want to make sure everybody's okay. Any questions about Asya? Y'all, anything? That was it. All right. Then we'll go on. So today we're going to look at Yetzirah. And Yetzirah is as different from Asya as the North Pole is from the equator. Where Asya is concerned with physicality and the concrete and what is external, Yetzirah is where we begin to realize that we have an interior life and that this life is worthy of our attention. Yetzirah is the world of emotions and feelings. This is where we learn about psychology and self-reflection and how to navigate and take responsibility for our feelings and our emotions. We stop believing that the world somehow is just the way that it is, that it's only the way we perceive it. And we begin to understand that we ourselves participate in making the world. In other words, we are responsible for making the world as much as the world makes us. Does this make sense? Yeah. Are there any examples that people can maybe think of that come to mind, how you might be creating the world as much as it's creating you? Because I have a really silly example. But you know, if you want to hear something more profound, perhaps you have thought of something yourselves where this happens. Okay. Well, this idea became very clear to me when we got Lucy, the pandemic puppy, which is why you see me leaning over like this. This is not some kind of exercise, but she just decides she needs to come in and go out constantly. So this puppy was a terror, an absolute terror. She ate shoes, including my favorite pair, chewed up pillows, tormented the cat, something terrible, and just generally created mayhem all around the house. I decided that puppies were just a big nuisance and regretted the day that we ever considered getting one. But then I realized that I had something to do with what was going on. You know, did I like actually put shoes where she couldn't get them? Or did I put her in a room, you know, that was filled with pillows that looked like fun to chew? Of course I did. You know, did I put a gate up so that the poor cat can live in peace? It never occurred to me to do that. So, you know, thinking of these things, I realized that Rowdy Puppy World was partially my own creation. So in Yetzirah, we start to realize this, and it's only by realizing it that we're able to make some kind of changes, right, to what the world is. We realize that, oh, we have a responsibility ourselves, that we need to put our shoes in the closet and not strew them about, that we need to, you know, set up some kind of boundaries. So it's a very important and really, it's a holy place, as they all are. But when we start to be able to look at our stories and not continuously live through them, we're making progress in the world of spirituality. And the reason this is important is because if we think that, you know, the world or God is such and such a way, because we're not able to see how we participate in that, how we see things that are a reflection really of our own interior, then we miss out. We're not able to see reality or God for exactly what it is. So last time we looked at, okay, today, time for your tech skills. Last time we looked at this little shape there that represented Asiya. And you see, we talked about how it's very closed. It just keeps looking back at itself. There's no room for anything really to get in there. And now we have another shape. Okay, now it's hard to maneuver these things with computers because there should be a little bit of space in between the arrow and the, oh my God, you can just erase it. Okay, so perfect. Thanks. So just look at this shape a little bit. Let it kind of settle. And tell me what you notice about it or what it brings up. What guys, I cannot do all the work myself. Anybody have it? It's very different than Asiya.
Maybe to encourage you, there is no right or wrong answers here. Just your observation and what you feel when you look at this image, what it brings up for you. Go on, just open your mics.
To me, it looks like there's room for self-reflection.
Okay.
Yep.
There's space. Right.
Yeah, it looks like I'm coming back to myself. Like,
Yes. Anybody else?
Well, I wanted also to say self-reflection versus chasing my own tail. The Asiya only.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the space of this is really an important part because having that is what allows us to kind of step back and look at our story and to try and figure out why we are the way we are. What is it that has created us, our background, our history? How has that made us into who we are? But the space also does something else. It gives us the idea that we have some sort of a real self somewhere else, and that we need to take a journey to some other place to find our true selves, find reality, that there's some other spot than where we are right now. So part of the spiritual work of Yetzirah is searching for knowledge and connection and enlightenment. And again, it's holy work, it's sacred. But sometimes we work so hard at it as though enlightenment is some sort of a prize or a reward. I think that God or the universe or whatever your idea of God is, must watch us doing all of this work with such tenderness because we strive so hard to find some other thing or some other place that surely is better than what we have right now, not realizing that what we are looking for is already within us. When we live in Yetzirah only, when it's not integrated with the other universes, we believe that our stories are who we are. Our stories like you know, what, my brother was horrible to me when I was growing up, so all men are horrible, right? We believe these kind of things about ourselves. And we identify so deeply that we see the world and all other people from this storyline, right? So they're either safe or unsafe. They're enemies or friends. We kind of, you know, we sort people based on our story. Again, we kind of create the world based on what we lived in the past. And we're so caught up in this drama that we repeat our story again and again and again. You know, how many times have you found yourself in a situation, maybe in a relationship with somebody, and you think, oh my gosh, this happens all the time. Why am I here? Why is this happening? Because it's just kind of an endless repeat. We also, if we're living only in Yetzirah, tend to believe that everything, like everything, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual problems, we think that they're all psychological. So we analyze everything through that lens. This is the sort of belief, you know, where you get people that say, oh, everything that happens to us is a lesson. Everything has some kind of meaning. Instead of realizing that, you know, sometimes things just are. We don't, not everything is a test or a, you know, a lesson that we have to learn. We don't realize that it's this very stance of being separate from ourselves that creates the story in the first place. So we don't have to live like this. We don't have to be stuck in our stories. And there's another way to work with them. Questions, comments, ideas? Does this like make sense? Or is it totally like, oh my gosh, what's this girl talking about?
Clement?
Yeah. Yeah, you just made me think that I was kind of living for a lot of time in this world. Yeah, like very on the psychological level. And also I noticed that lots of people in the spiritual New Age communities, they cling to thinking that everything is here with a purpose, it's something to do with me, and it's kind of self-absorbent a lot, which is not the whole picture. Yeah,
Right.
That's my comment on this.
Right. Oh, wow. You know, it is true. There are the people, just like people who live their whole lives in Asiya, people can live their whole lives here because at some level it's comfortable, right? If you can say that everything is a lesson or everything, you know, has some kind of deep psychological purpose that you have to, you know, excavate, then you don't really have to engage so much. You know, it's a way of separating yourself from the feelings that these things bring up. So,
Exactly. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Does this world, how should I put it, presuppose a solution? So when you're stuck in your psychological problems and you're analyzing everything, is there like a point that, you know, like there's a solution to it?
Well, yes. For actually two things. There does come a point for some people when, yes, they realize I'm stuck in this. This is a continuing thing, and it's not it's not fulfilling me. I'm not satisfied. I'm not reaching any kind of conclusion. I'm not, I'm not having a relationship with whatever this issue is. And that's when people start looking elsewhere. Start looking for some sort of way in which they can integrate whatever it is that they're caught up in, and not just keep being caught. Tadeja, do you?
Yeah, I would say it is definitely pointing towards the desire for solution. If I hope this diagram is still on, let me put it, it has a direction, and this image of, this diagram having a direction kind of implies that there is some solution at the end. And this is also a huge trap that people got caught in, overthinking, overanalyzing, because they expect this point of the solution. When, on the other hand, it doesn't bring the kind of relief and resolving the problem as we may expect or misunderstand that happens. Because especially if you are in Yetzirah only consciousness, that means that you are still very strongly separated, which means that you still believe in two worlds, in one that you have problem and another one when there is no problem. But the thing is that doing only the Yetziratic work doesn't really bring the ultimate healing, the deep healing that can happen when you include other worlds, also the Bria that we will talk later today. And the third thing, Yetziratic work is definitely important. Everybody on spiritual path has to go through this vast space of understanding the past, of understanding some whys. Why is this so? To trying to find a reasonable explanation to our pain and suffering. And we need to move on. Is that the answer that helps you, Andro?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anybody else has a comment or sharing or question?
Okay, well, in the spirit of moving on, let's look at the next universe, which Tadeja will.
Yeah. Thank you, Beth.
Mhm.
So, the most integrated universe that we have access to is Bria. And the emphasis is on we have access to, because there's another universe called Azilut that with our rational mind, we don't really have access to. And we will not talk about Azilut here in this series of webinars, but we will discuss this fourth universe in the training. I just want to mention it because many traditions seems like that they understand the spirituality as having the final goal in this last universe, in Azilut, as kind of, highest level of consciousness. But Azilut is so transparent and integrated that our sense of self gets lost in it. So I'm mentioning this only because there's a lot of misunderstanding and a huge spiritual bypass in the idea of spiritual path being the path of walking towards the Asilut. Mentioning that Asilut is present all the time. Life is present all the time. God is present all the time in all the worlds. We live in this world that is composed with elements that we can see and understand through the consciousness of Asiya. And we can think and feel emotions and sensations about this world and the self through the understanding of the consciousness of Yetzirah. That is how we are made. All our physical body and our emotional body and spiritual body is made in this way, that we understand ourselves in the world on different levels. So both of these two worlds that we looked at, Asiya and Yetzirah, are still deep in dual understanding and perspective. By saying that, I mean that everything is still very much separated, and integration or oneness, wholeness, unity, however you name it, is not really present here. It's not, you're not really able to perceive fully what wholeness is. It's also true that separation of Asiya and Yetzirah still define us in some way. How? Do you have any idea how the perspective of Asiya and Yetzirah, especially when they are unintegrated in their only version, how they define us? Some examples. Let's say in Asiya, how are we defined through the perspective of Asiya? Do you have any ideas?
Based on gender, I mean sex, male, female.
Yep.
Tall, short.
Yep.
All stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. By definition, we are the member of some group. And we all need that membership. We all need that feeling of belonging. And it's important to understand that this is not only thing that we are, and definitely not all that we are. How about how are we defined through the Yetzirah only perspective? Beth talked about it today.
Bipolar, manic, I don't know.
It's not really clearly Yetziratic definition of who I am. It can be, but there is one element more important. Branka, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I said maybe the way we react to stimuli, to something that happens to us. So we think about something, what happened, and then we react. So we have that aspect of self-reflection, but also the impulse to react.
Yes, that is already in the right direction. Anybody else? Let me give you some stimulation. Did anybody of you in any moment of your life caught yourself saying, that's how I am. That's how I do things. That's how I understand life. Yeah. Just raise your hands. Yes. Why? Because we are defined by our stories. That's how the world of Yetzirah is defining us. And then we believe that this is the truth about us, about who we are. How are you? Are you breathing? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good example. Let's say that you say that, like, okay, so I'm introverted person and I will not go out in the realm of people, but there is also like a very subtle but yet deep wish to be among people, but just this identity is blocking you to do this. But the soul kind of knows that there is something more.
Yes. Yes. Perfect example, Clement. I'm introverted. That's how I am. I'm not doing things. And then there's desire. Yeah. And we will talk about this desire at the end of the day.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So in Bria, things change. Because in Bria, we enter fundamental state of including more and more of reality as we are more and more included in oneness and wholeness. Let me share my whiteboard again. And I will change the color and I will draw you another diagram. No, let me erase this one. Make it thicker. Okay. So let us just look at this third diagram. And just open your mic and share with me, how does this feel? What's the reaction in you? What do you think about that? What do you see? Anybody?
I see flow.
Flow. Yes. Anybody else?
A light wave.
Wave. Yes.
Wave of light.
Wave of life. Yes.
Light.
Light. Huh? Anything else?
Open,
Open.
spacious.
Spacious.
It's a part of the undefinite. So it comes from the undefinite and ends in the undefinite, but we see that part, that segment.
You mean the infinite?
Infinite, yes.
Yeah.
As it's like continuity.
Continuity.
Continuity, like endless continuation and fluctuation.
Yes. Someone creates, okay. Someone creates a lot of noise. Yes. All beautiful observations, open. There's tendency to show that there's infinite on one and the other side. There's flow, there's spaciousness. These are all good observations. The world of Bria, or non-dual consciousness, allows us to engage with life, and the diagram that we saw is kind of pointing into that direction. There is no beginning and end. There's constant flow. There's still separation. You have up and down. You have the up curve, you have the down curve. There are still things that are clearly have their shape. Instead of, some traditions go towards direction where oneness is just like, one big thing. and you lose your individuality. This diagram that we saw doesn't do that. But it shows in the direction that Bria or non-dual consciousness allows us to engage with life or God or reality, however you name it. And it's not filtering or leaving anything out. Let's just breathe on that. It's not filtering or leaving anything out. The thing is that in Asiya and Yetzirah, we are still filtering, even though we might not be aware of it. I'll share the screen again. If we look at the diagram of Asiya, it's clearly separating and filtering things. That's inside, and then there's outside. In Yetzirah, we kind of end up in a closed place. We still have only one direction, going back to self. Where in Bria, wherever we put ourselves, we are in the place and there's possibility of any other places in this diagram because it's totally open. And sometimes, I admit, I was there too when I first met this level of openness. It can be scary. And it's good to know that, and this is what grounded me eventually, is that differentiations, differences still exist in Bria. They don't disappear. What changes is that things become what they are, instead of being filtered or covered or altered. And the separation and differences doesn't define us anymore. And the world is not defined by this separateness. The main shift that happens is that our separateness and the separateness of the world defines itself. Now, this may be a little too much for your brain at this moment, because that's how humans are. We are rational beings. We have, the large portion of us is our rational brain, and it's very useful and we need it. But trying to understand and grasp the idea of what I'm talking about right now can be too much. So remember what we were talking about last time when Beth emphasizes on just return to the material. Just listen many times. Just allow yourself that you don't understand, and that maybe it's not about understanding. Maybe it's about, sorry, maybe it's about other things, about sensing, about becoming. Yeah. What does it mean that the separateness of the world defines itself? Let's think about a day. We have rainy days and we have sunny days. And we separate, our life on, sunny days is a happy day, rainy day is an ugly day. And we get up in the morning and we see it's raining and it's like, oh my God, it's going to be a horrible day again. I feel depressed when it's raining, and when it's sunshine, it's like, oh yes, I'm alive. Oh, totally different perspective. And from Asiya perspective, we need this definition. We need this definition of rainy day and sunny day. And from Asya only perspective, we can identify ourselves through, I'm the person of the sunny day, I'm the person of the rainy day. No, I hate people who love sun because I'm the person of the rain. And it happens the same in Yetzirah only, Of course, we might go on the quest to find out why we prefer sunny days to rainy days or vice versa. But still, we somehow define ourselves. We can easily find the story. Yes, when there was a rainy day, mom was indoors and she was very mean to me. That's why I don't like rainy days. I like sunny days when I can escape out of house, when mom's not at home. These are happy days. The difference we experience in consciousness of Bria is that we understand that rainy day and sunny day, they co-arise together. Simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. Didn't go out of my tongue. And that they create the oneness of the moment. They define each other. That's what I mean when I say the separateness defines itself. So just breathe into that. Things are still separate and they define each other. It's like, day defines night and night defines day. Tall defines short and short defines tall. Awareness of me defines awareness of you. Can you think of some of these pairs? Just open your mic and say, yeah. Anybody?
Yeah, like the space defines objects and objects define the space around them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Very important. We actually have the whole lecture. I think it's in the first year about this.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Briatic consciousness sees its separateness, its individuality as a completely valid thing. It does not negate separateness, and separateness does not alien the oneness. Let's just pause here for a moment. In Briatic consciousness, everything is completely valid. Nothing gets pushed out, covered, diminished, erased. In Briatic consciousness, we trust what we want and where we are because we know all of life is divine. Let me put this in different words. Because everything is allowed to exist, we don't have to fear or defend against things anymore. Now, how does that sound? Wouldn't that be great? That you don't have to be all alerted anymore on the danger or afraid. How are you with this? Because everything is allowed to exist. We don't have to fear or defend against things anymore. Branka.
But it also means that fear is allowed to exist and danger exists as well.
Yes.
So it's the part of it.
Yes.
We cannot exclude it.
Nope. Wonderful observation.
Yes.
The fear exists. It's what we do with the fear changes.
How we react or how we perceive it.
Yes. Do we react or we don't? Because it's allowed to exist, we don't have to do with it. Nothing anymore. You know, when we were preparing for this webinar, Beth gave wonderful, asked me wonderful question and gave wonderful example. She said, so, I'm not afraid to jump off the bridge anymore, so I'll just go and jump. And I said, well, that would be very stupid. It's something else that happens, Let's say that you are afraid of height, or you are afraid that if you go on a bridge, you will get, pulled to the edge of the bridge and then you will jump, and this is very dangerous. So you just avoid bridges in your life. This is a very limited space. Mm-hmm. I mean, the capital of Slovenia is Ljubljana, and I think, and Andro, please correct me, but I think there's like 10 bridges from one part of the city to another. Can you imagine that you cannot freely move around in your own town because you're afraid to cross the bridge, because you're afraid that you will jump, and now suddenly you're not afraid anymore, and then you go and you jump? No, it's not about that. It's about when the fear is allowed to exist, you get the choice. What will you do with this fear? And then you can maybe discover that you can cross the bridge and don't get pulled to the edge and don't get tempted to jump over. A whole different world opens. Does that make sense? Yeah, just raise your thumbs and nod.
Yeah, of course.
Well, this is what we call the real freedom. And it's the level of consciousness we arrive to on this path when we include Briatic consciousness. I wrote down here, only in Bria we see the complete beauty of Asiya and Yetzirah. We are capable to allow things to exist as they are, where they are, and how they are. So how can I see the beauty of Asiya, where the Asiya is so separated and so full of opposites? It's because we are looking at Asiya from the perspective of Bria, that allows everything to exist. And opposite sides are not against each other anymore. They don't have to fight for the space where they can exist or occupy. They can be in the light of the existence. In this way, we can enjoy the beauty of material world by being the beings that have eyes and ears and skin and senses that can see and hear and touch this world and have a relationship with. Because that's what Bria is. Bria is the world of creation where everything is in relationship with everything, where everything is absolutely relational. And that makes possible that everything is just what it is. Now, Do you have any questions about this? Doubts? Trying to get it into your head. How is this possible? Just open your mic if you feel like you want to share or ask a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
So like looking from Bria consciousness into the Asya, where things are separate, I wonder if you see all those things then as, let's say that the separation is needed, so we can see the individuality and originality of everything, and like it's nothing wrong with this, and they are necessary for each other to exist. And that's just the way the universe works, and like creates novelty all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Separateness is needed for us to exist, is needed for us to understand things. The problem that we get caught into is that at some moment we get caught in the idea that the separateness is the only reality.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's definitely needed. It's like child needs the mother, day needs the night needs the day. You know, plants need water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is cool, yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
cool.
And it's sometimes very hard to remember
Yes.
and to live there. I get all, I mean, I've been doing this work for years, and I get all caught up in my Yitzharitic stuff. And, you know, it just gets in the way because I am a flawed human. So
Yes.
it's not that I can, I mean, I don't know that there'll ever be a day that I can be in Bria consciousness only. That's not gonna, it's not even a goal.
No, it's not, Irma. And I will talk about Bria only, which is again one of the misunderstandings of the world. And I totally agree with you. You know, because we are humans, we cannot live every moment of our life in Briatic consciousness. We fall out and we come back. This is, I will show the diagram again. I mean, it's so smart. It's this curve that indicates that we are in and we are out, we fall back, we raise up and we fall down. You know, as Jason says in his instruction manual for receiving God, we are a species of falling down and getting up. Falling down is human, getting up is divine. Yeah. And which brings me to the next section of my lecture that I started with. We all are going on a spiritual path because we are suffering. All of us here, knowing that or not, being aware of that or not, are here because we are suffering. And I will be, you know, a little bold, and I would say at some point, all of you became aware of your own suffering. People that are not there yet, that haven't become aware of their suffering yet, on the same level as you, will not participate in this work in any way. They need other work to be done first. They need other experience. It's not that they are less than us. It's just they're not there yet. But all of you here are here because you are suffering. And Bria sees suffering as part of the world and knows that when it is allowed to exist, it becomes the very vehicle for our healing. It's one of the elements that gives us this drive to move on, for ongoingness that is needed to live healthy life. And getting there is a big change in understanding and living your life. And as much pain is the part of our world, the existence of pain doesn't obscure God's light or full life. It doesn't stop us from living our life. At the same time, I want to be very clear that non-dual work or Briatic consciousness or non-dual Kabbalistic healing in general doesn't glorify the pain or suffering, nor does it seek to cut it off or eliminate it. And I know I had this experience, and I know of existence of such movements in the world, that there are, I don't know, some institutional religions or some groups that glorify pain and suffering. But this is not what we do. Because everything, including pain and suffering, when allowed to exist in relationship, has the best opportunity for heal. And this is the core point of Briatic consciousness. Things are in relationship, because everything is absolutely relational. It is only in allowing pain, suffering, and joy to exist in the state that they are. It's only there we can find freedom to choose and the freedom to change. And that increases our level of wholeness and relationship. We can claim the ownership of all things, including our life. Now, I know that what I'm talking about for some of you may be huge. So I just want to pause again, remind you to breathe. And if you have any questions, disagreement with me, want to argue, I'm here. Everything's allowed. Yolanta.
How do you allow suffering? Like practically, is there something like, yeah, what would you recommend?
Oh, there's many things you can do. Well, first of all, I can speak basically for myself personally. For me, it took years of practice. Years of practice, years of having a good healer with me, being with friends that understand the same level of relating to life. And I mean, we have some very, very, what's the word? Efficient tools. Is that the word that I want to use at NKH? You know, some meditations and practices that really, you know, help you build the muscles, because you need the muscles. You were not allowed to build the muscles that will help you be with your own suffering. Just, you know, simple For example, in my childhood, I was not allowed to be angry. That was one of the worst things that could happen to me, because when I was angry, my mother was furious. And she was not very kind mother to me. And those were the worst moments. So I didn't develop healthy muscles of how to be angry. And that was my suffering. I had to build the muscles to allow myself to be angry and not be afraid of, painful consequences, physically painful consequences, of not being afraid of being, exiled from the family. That was one of the worst things. My mother would say to me, "You don't belong to this family. You fell out of the nest. We don't behave like this." Can you imagine how this is for a child that is 4 or 5 years old, that is still, fundamentally dependent on belonging to the basic cell of where they develop? So you have to build the muscles that allow you to stay where you need it to be, how you are, how you feel. I very rarely cried when I was a child because I was not allowed to cry. I was locked in the bathroom for 3 nights in a row because I was crying too loud as a baby. And then I would hid under the table, and I needed to build the muscles that allowed me to cry and being seen. And that's what this work is about. If I would have to define it in one sentence, one of the sentences that I would really say, yes, that's it, will be, it helps you build the muscles to be with what you were not allowed to be in your childhood. It helps you build the muscles that were not allowed to develop and are part of the totality of who you are. There's many things needed to come to this place. And I can assure you that the Society of Souls and Nondual Kabbalistic healing training is a very safe space to learn about that, to start to experience that level of existence. And then it's not that suffering becomes easier, but you are more present with it. You don't, sometimes I say those who are very creative in running away from life already have everything that is needed to be in life. They just need the safe space to learn how it can be done, because they didn't have this opportunity before. Is that helpful, Yolanta? Are you still with us?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. 6 days ago, our neighbor died. A young woman, 43. We didn't know anything was going on. She was a very proud person. She never wanted to talk about her illness, but she had cancer. And I went to her funeral on Thursday. And I thought to myself, that shouldn't be like that. It's wrong. 2 little girls stayed without her mother. Yeah. That woman's mother, no mother should bury their child. It's not a natural thing. And I was hurting. It's not that she was my best friend. We were just good neighbors, but I was hurting because it was so pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Had no meaning, no common sense. And that was my suffering at that moment. And with this work, I was able to stay. Not to run away, not to, like Beth talked today, not try to go on the quest of finding the reason why, the logical explanation, because there is none. It's just the pain. And it was beautiful. I was sitting there, in the park next to the cemetery, and I was listening to the birds. Because the suffering that I was with actually opened my heart, opened this tenderness in me and joy that I can hear the birds. Irma.
Yeah, I just want to say something about Society of Souls today. And not only does this work create safe space to explore your suffering and deal with it and cope with it and cry about it and whatever, but it also, one of the reasons I got involved in the school was because I was looking for community.
Yeah.
And to be able to do this kind of work in community has changed my life, period. So it is safe space.
Yeah.
I mean, the work is brilliant. Jason is brilliant. And I'm grateful for you guys presenting today. But I just wanted to make that comment about doing this in community. Because at least for me, I can't do this by myself. It's not possible.
Honestly, Irma, I don't believe anything can do this
Any of us can do it
by
by
themselves. Yeah. Not even Jason as creator. He needs us, our community, to continue creating and developing and evolving.
But I think that's a really important piece. So I just wanted to say it as
Yes.
well.
Thank you, Irma. Thank you.
We're talking about how to work with our suffering. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to continue with one more piece, and then we will do one more meditation and close with, more questions and sharing, if that's okay. Are you okay, Yolanta? Okay. Good. So I just wanted to, turn a little to the left and talk a little also about Bria only consciousness, because like Asiya, Yetzira, we also can get caught in Bria only, like, separate from each other. Maybe you will go like, okay, how is this possible? Bria is this world of non-duality, consciousness that allows everything to exist. Well, we humans have ego, and our ego in unhealed state has this tendency to separate totally. So we can get caught in Bria only as well. And how does it look? It's actually a state of disassociation. And doesn't include other universes. Doesn't include Asiya and Yetzira. And like Beth talked today, these worlds are not really separated. It's just the way how we step into the learning of it that we talk separately about one and the other. And in fact, I sometimes see them as the Russian babushka, you know, the babushka, Russian, those wooden dolls that go one into another. It's very poor presentation, but it's like an image. So in Bria only perspective, we are defending against life's difficulties, or we are attempting to escape from life. On practical level, how this looks like is, you know, attempts to reach the state of total purity, of complete stillness, not including the constantly changing nature of life, of humans. I'm pretty sure that you have heard about practices and techniques that bring you to just think positive, be positive, just accept and everything will be okay. Just call for the light, rejecting everything that is not positive, that is not light, that is that has the smallest fragrance of unpleasant feelings or uncomfortable feelings. I once, on one of my workshops, this man came and he shared with the group that he's on this path of not needing his body anymore, that this is the high peak of enlightenment. And I looked at him and I was thinking, oh my God, how are you going to go pee? it's going to be very difficult for you, my boy. I didn't say anything to him, but yeah. So it can be a trap. And at the beginning, when I met Jason, I got sometimes so annoyed because he would constantly, you know, returning me back to where I didn't want to be. And I needed a couple of years to understand that this is the only way I can be on this healing path, not to, you know, avoid what I don't like. It was difficult. It still is sometimes, like you said, Irma, you fall out and you have a difficult day, but I'm getting better and better. Yeah. So.
Can I add on something?
Yes.
When you were talking about this Bria only, it reminded me of, I don't know if somebody went or just knows about transformational psychedelic festivals. Well, those festivals really feel like a melting pot of Bria consciousness. It is very, very creative. Really amazing. It surprised me when I was there. But it feels like there is nobody present. There is no one, like if you can understand this, like nobody has a firm ground.
Yes.
And I can say from my experience that I really got caught into this. So moving from the second world into this world, just thinking positively and not just positively, but I was dissociating myself from the identity, from myself, from the world that I live in, from like real interactions that I have with people. And yeah, it was actually very painful when I realized how far away from myself I went. And I can see this pain in a lot of people who live in Bria only. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for this sharing, Clement. Beautiful. And so true. Yes, so true.
It's like flying.
Yeah, but you know, birds fly,
Yeah.
but they are so firmly rooted.
Mm.
If they were not, they wouldn't be able to fly thousands, 10,000s of kilometers and find the nest every year on return again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, like they know where the center is, where the ground of their being is. Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and as Jason says, just I'll try to find in his book. Hope I find it quickly, otherwise I will not really search for a long time. But it's one passage from the manual for receiving God. No, it's just give me a second. I think it's somewhere very at the beginning. No, I don't want to waste our time. I will send it to you, the copy of that seed passage, when I will send you the recording. It's a beautiful one. It talks about, you know, how God is waiting for every bird to return, something like that. Yeah. Anybody else wants to share something or have a question or?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Ankit.
Ann.
I just want to propose something to everyone who came to Ljubljana or live in Ljubljana. So the next time when you got some fears and you're not sure should you pass through that bridge over the Ljubljanica, just go to the Dragon Bridge and just believe that this dragon will remove all your fears. That's a good practice. Don't you think so?
Oh yeah, Dragon Bridge. If you pass the dragons, you're okay.
No, dragons will remove your fears.
Good, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? If not, before we go into meditation, I would just like to give you a taste of what we are going to do next. Because the path of Nondual Kabbalistic healing is actually the path of healing the ego. We are going to talk about what ego is, what's unhealed ego, what's healed ego, why we are, you know, having the ego, why we don't want to get rid of the ego, but go on the healing path. And Beth and I will teach you the healing of immanence. How does that sound? Promising? You want to come? Okay. Good.
All right. Then let's do this meditation. It's a new one, but it's a beautiful one. So just sit silently and comfortably. You know, just get comfortable and just be with your breathing. No need to change anything. No need to do anything. Just be there and breathe. Your intention in this meditation is to invite everything in. All of the parts of yourself are invited. The small, frightened parts, the courageous parts, the selfish parts, the devoted parts. Say to yourself, you, the selfish one, come in, be here. You, the one who forgets to be kind to yourself, come in and be here. You, the one who remembers God from time to time, please come in. Whatever comes into your mind or heart, whether it is some form of suffering or some insight, it does not matter. Simply recognize it and invite it in. And when you're ready, come back. So, how did that land with you? How do you feel?
Okay, guys, we really need you. You know that.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi, Brina.
I just hey Beth. I don't know. It's just coming a lot of. I cry, and I'm crying now for, the last hour,
Oh.
and I just feel allowance
Mhm.
for the parts that still need so much notice.
Mhm.
And it feels like a relief
Yes.
to allow that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. It is. To just let a feeling just be, and not have to change it or fix it or get rid of it. Just let it be. It is very peaceful.
Yeah, and at the same time, on the other side, there is so much tiredness because of, I don't know what, because of lacking of this space, which is needed to just be. Probably so much tiredness of, I don't know, of not allowing, and really really feeling the relief of just be. It's very simple, but I don't know why, just not easy to really feel it and allow it.
Right.
It's simple, but it's not simple. Okay.
No.
I agree, Brina. It's simple, but definitely not easy. And I want to say one more thing as a comment to your sharing. When we come to this point where we can allow whatever is there to be, that doesn't mean things will not change. That's really important to know and understand. It's something different at play here. By giving the space and time for whatever is there for us just to be, things uncover their true nature. They show themselves in what it really is. And then we can relate with what is on different level, with different understanding, different percepting, different reacting, or non-reacting, or non-understanding. And at the same time, we still need to hit the brake at the red light. No questions asked.
Oh. Anyone else?
Branka, I see you open your mic.
Yes, I opened my mic, but frankly, I don't want to talk.
Oh.
The meditation was so deep that discussing about it would actually spoil the sense of the moment. I feel very content. So this is the only thing I can share. Totally calm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, then. I think we can wrap it up here, Beth. What do you think? Do we have anything else on the schedule?
No, I think we're.
I mean, maybe just a couple of announcements, or what did you think?
As long as everybody's feels settled and able to go on without needing to talk more. Okay. Then announcements.
Yeah. So first announcement, hope to see you all in exactly 4 weeks' time, 12th of March, for the third part of Introduction to Nondual Kabbalistic Healing. Second one is that with that, we had to move the beginning of the class, which was first planned to start on 9th of September, due to some, family stuff.
Some happy family stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a grandmother in September, so I don't want to be, with you and not completely be with you. So we moved it to December. So yeah.
So we will start on December 2nd. It will be all published on our website. It's just something I think we wanted to share in person through Zoom.
Yes.
And I think that's it.
Yes. That's it.
We will be very happy if you write to us, with questions, with compliments, with critics, whatever. And we hope to see you next time.
Yes. And thank you very much for coming and sharing or not sharing, whatever, just being here is really special. And I'm grateful to you.
Me too.
So,
love you all.
See you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Tadeja. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.